This is the Velowave Forest SM, a sub $3,000 full suspension e-mountain bike. In this review, I'll run you through all the components, then we'll get into some first-person riding footage, and finally some third-person riding footage where I'll give you the pros and cons. But first, let's take a closer look. To be fair, it's only $1 less than $3,000, though you can check up-to-date pricing down in the description. Also, if you plan to buy a Velowave electric bike, that helps support the channel. But I have been waiting so long for an affordable full suspension e-mountain bike for personal use. For longer rides, yes, but also to take the kids on it. We like to put a kids ride shotgun seat up front. The kids just love going mountain biking with me, and I do appreciate the rear suspension. Once you go full suspension, you don't want to go back. Now, yes, they had to make some component choices around this bike to make it affordable. Just Google full suspension e-mountain bike, and you'll see that they can be extremely expensive. Velowave is a direct-to-consumer brand that helps keep price down, and this is the first time that I've been working with them, so I'm really curious to see what they packed into this bike. The Forest SM is offered in two different sizes, a 17-inch and a 19-inch. That's what you see here. I'm a 6-foot tall rider with a 32-inch inseam, and yes, my wife, who's 5'5", can barely ride this, though she does make it work so she can take the kids as well. Also worth noting is they also have the XM that you might want to consider, but there's a reason that I went with this one. So the XM has a bigger motor, 1,000 watts, with 1,200 watts of peak power. That's compared to 500 watts and 760 watts on this bike. It also has a larger battery at 20 amp hours compared to the 15 amp hour battery on the SM. But the reason I went for this one is I don't need that extra battery power for my mountain bike rides, and I certainly don't need more power than this one can put out, as you'll see in the first-person riding footage. But also, weight is a huge consideration. As it is, this bike already weighs 64 pounds. The battery is 8.7 pounds, and the XM is even heavier than that, 76 pounds. The battery weighing in at 11.4 pounds. And for me personally, I'm going to feel much more comfortable on something that's a little bit more nimble, that weighs just a little bit less. The weight capacity on this bike is 385 pounds. Before we dive deep into the components, I already have 3 things that I think would be huge upgrades on this electric bike. Let me know in the comment section if you want to see this bike featured again. I really think those components will make it even more of an electric mountain bike. Let's talk about what you get stock. We have Tektro 2-piston hydraulic disc brakes paired with 180mm rotors. The tires are from Kenda, 27.5 by 2.8 inches wide, front and rear. The front wheel attaches with a through axle. It's an air suspension front fork with 140mm of travel. It has a Velowave sticker on it, but it's from a brand called Trauma. Let me show you something. On this sticker right here, it says, "Do not use for free ride, downhill, dirt jumper, or any hard riding." So if you're an avid mountain biker going off jumps, riding super hard, perhaps this bike isn't for you, or at least set up with this suspension fork. Though for my more recreational mountain bike riding, it has served me well. Let me push on the front suspension. This is what you can expect. The air adjustment's going to be on the left, lockout on the right. And since we're talking about suspension, let's talk about the rear as well. Again, a Velowave sticker, so not sure what brand this is. It does have a rebound adjust right here. And yes, matching the front, it is an air suspension rear shock. And this is what you can expect in the rear. You know they designed this as a dual-purpose electric bike because, yes, it has a front light that runs off the main battery, 80 lux. So perhaps you want to do some commuting or maybe even some mountain biking in the dark, you can. They even sell an optional rear rack and fender kit you can purchase. And yes, the second thing is that it comes with a kickstand. I'll probably be removing that. The cables run through the frame on both sides. We have matching Tektro hydraulic disc brake levers, yes, with motor cutoffs, which is important because this bike has a throttle on the left side. We have locking grips. The handlebars are 740 millimeters wide, and for the shifter, super happy to see this Shimano Dior. Attached to the shift cable here is a shift sensor. Now what that does is every time you shift, it will temporarily cut power to the motor. That helps prevent any unnecessary wear on the drivetrain. And just so you know, on other mid-drive electric bikes, they don't necessarily have shift sensors, so you just need to be careful when you shift instead. This is a Bafang display that matches the motor. We have battery capacity in the top right-hand corner, speed front and center. Yes, we've already put 51 miles on this bike. Hitting the center button would cycle through different information. Over to odometer, max speed, average speed, wattage, range. That changes depending on the pedal assist level you're in. Cadence, calories, time, and back to trip. And we have 6 levels of pedal assist, which is controlled using up and down. Eco, Tour, Sport, Sport Plus, and Boost. Below 0 or pedal assist turned off, you do have walk mode. Simply hold pedal assist down. And then you can turn the lights on by holding pedal assist up, indicator right here. And finally, there is a USB-C port located on the right of the display. That's great if you need to charge up your phone, of course. Battery is located beneath the frame. Put the keys in, turn to the left, and there's a release lever that will drop the battery out. This is a 48 volt, 15 amp hour battery, and the battery is UL2271 certified. The battery can be charged when it's off the bike with the port right here. There's a power button to give you an idea of how much capacity the battery has. To put the battery back in, terminals first. Turn the keys to the right and remove. You can charge the battery when it's in the bike under this dust cover. Speaking of the charger, it has an output of 2.8 amps, has a fan here. Velowave also includes a multi-tool as well as a couple spokes in case you need to replace any. Powering this bike is a Bafang mid-drive motor. It's the M600, 500 watts with 760 watts of peak power. I'll show you just how it performs in a little bit. And that motor is engaged with a torque sensor. Included are metal pedals. On the rear of the bike, we have a magnet, and this is a speed sensor, so the bike knows how fast you're going. The saddle is from Sella Royale. It's a gel mountain bike style saddle, and they even have this little light that you can clip in and out of the seat. Doesn't add a ton of visibility though. That's what it looks like removed. For the drivetrain, we have Shimano Dior. It's a 10-speed, 11 to 42 teeth in the rear. Up front, it's 38 teeth with a chain guide. There's also a chainstay protector. As far as graphics, pretty understated Velowave on the down tube. You know this is the Forest SM by the graphics on the top tube. And I guess there were 3 things, probably need to remove the reflectors as well. With that, let's get into some first-person riding footage. Can't wait to show you how the M600 performs, the Throttle performs. Let's get into it. Let's get right into it. First, we're going to start on a paved road. I want to show you the throttle experience as well as the various pedal assist levels, showing you the max speed. And then we'll get into some double track or a wider trail. And then yes, some single track. I'll talk through that. But first, throttle only. Now with pedal assist turned off, no access to the throttle, but as long as you're in eco or above, you have full access. I'm in second gear. Here we go, 3, 2, 1, throttle only. Front tire lifted up a little bit. Let's go into third, fourth, fifth, sixth gear. There we go, climbing speed now, 14, 15. Shift up 17, 19, and there is 20 miles an hour. So yes, the mid-drive is driving the chain, which means you do want to get in the habit of starting in a lower gear because otherwise you're going to put undue stress on that drivetrain. All right, let's go through various pedal assist levels quickly. We'll start off in eco. Remember, a torque sensor, so the more power I put into my legs, there's the motor now. The more power I get from the motor. I'm going to shift up to third gear, fourth, and nice leisurely cadence going about 11 miles an hour. If I put in more power, we're gonna go faster and you'll hear the motor, fifth gear. And so yeah, you can get up to speed 14, 15, shift it up again. All right, let's go into a tour. Nice and easy, cruising at 12. More effort. Shift up. Gets us closer to 17 miles an hour. All right, sport. Cruising at 15 miles an hour. 14. A little bit more effort. And we're gonna get to 20. I'm going to have to shift up here. Getting close to 10th gear. There's 20 miles an hour. All right, and Sport Plus. Gentle cadence. Definitely feel a lot more motor power there. There is a bar there that gives you an idea of how much power is going to the motor. Cruising at 17 and more power. 22, 24. Remember, this is class 3 capable, which means yes, we will get to 28 miles per hour. Let's go into boost mode and 9th gear. Very gentle cadence. Not putting in a lot of effort at all. All right, and 10th gear, cruising at 20, 21, 22. This is why I don't think you need that more powerful motor, because this has plenty of power as it is. 23 miles an hour, and remember, of course, it's meant more as a trail bike. Putting in a little bit more power here. 27. Cadence is a little fast at 27 or 28 miles an hour. And we are going against the wind right now. So that is what you can expect out of the motor in boost mode on pavement. Mid-20s, very easy. All right, I'm excited to get into some off-road riding. Let's do it. So here is a type of trail I can see a lot of people wanting a bike like this for. I'd personally rather have something a little bit more nimble like this. Of course, full suspension, yes, compared to a fat tire electric bike. And of course, this bike feels more like a mountain bike. Yes, wider handlebars. I did put some additional air into the suspension to dial it in a little bit better for me. And what's great is I am just cruising in eco, still able to provide my own power as much as I want, really, and still feel like at the end of the ride, I'm getting a workout. And actually, for a lot of the trail riding that I've been doing, I have been leaving it in eco or tour because this motor is so powerful. Now, yes, this is a Bafang motor that has been around for some time. It's got a noticeable whine to it, but it is so much quieter than almost every other hub drive bike, especially any hub drive bike that has any amount of power. So it's not that you can't hear it even in eco, but it disappears a little bit more. And while I don't have a Shimano or a Bosch motor to really hear them side by side, I do think this is a little bit louder. It's not as refined as a motor, I don't think. But again, you need to look at really what you're getting. And this is a price point bike. $3,000, full suspension, nice drivetrain, loving the Dior components. That would have really kind of broke the deal for me if it didn't come with a nice drivetrain, because I think that is so important. All right, I stepped it up into sport mode, and almost too much power here. And of course, this terrain is all flat. I am in Florida, but I know this motor would be able to handle virtually anything. Just shift down into a lower gear, throw it in boost if you need it. Speaking of boost, let's go up to it. And yeah, now we're really cooking. 21, so super fun. A motor certainly enhances the experience. Of course, some people want an e-mountain bike for accessibility reasons. Maybe they have knee sensitivities and things like that. All right, let's hop on some single track. And yes, I need to go down into eco. This trail weaves quite a bit. And the front suspension from a recreational mountain biker's perspective, from my perspective, feels great as well. And you can see I don't even need to go higher than eco here. I do think if you are used to really high-end components. You will notice a slight difference with these Tektro hydraulic disc brakes. Not that they don't have the stopping power, but the levers just feel maybe a little bit less easy to kind of brake if you're braking a lot, which you probably are on mountain bike trails. And again, not that it's a deal breaker. Most people aren't going to know the difference if they're just getting into mountain biking and want something electric. And so for a blue trail like this bike is perfectly suited, can handle the easy stuff, and then you encounter some bumps, no problem. And I'm going to keep riding, but let's get into some third-person riding footage. I'll give you my concluding thoughts on the Velowave Forest SM. We'll dive into the pros and cons in just a second, but first, let me say up front, since this is our first experience with Velowave, we don't have a ton of data on their customer support. If you've already dealt with them, good, bad, or otherwise, please share your experiences in the comment section just to help everyone out. Now, Velowave has been around since 2021, and the main reason really I wanted to review this electric bike is that there aren't many full suspension e-mountain bikes in the $3,000 price range, at least not unless you stumble on some amazing sale, which, hey, might actually happen in today's market. Let's get real about who this electric mountain bike is really for. If you're an avid mountain biker or a gearhead chasing the best of the best components, this probably won't blow you away, but for newer riders or weekend warriors who just love hitting the trails for fun, this bike is a solid contender. And that's the category I would put myself in. I want to go have some fun and, to be truly honest, just not get hurt. So this list comes from that perspective. Let's talk about what stands out to me. First, the Dior Drivetrain. Having a reliable drivetrain is crucial on any trail-worthy e-bike, and Shimano's Dior is a great choice. Next, it has to be the Bafang motor. It's powerful, reliable, and surprisingly quiet. Unless you're tackling really crazy terrain, eco or tour modes will handle flats just fine. And you can reserve those higher pedal assist levels for tougher climbs or if you plan to ride on pavement. Plus, there's a throttle, rare on electric mountain bikes, so that's a big bonus if you want the extra boost. And so the choice of a Bafang motor, you get plenty of performance, but you don't have the additional cost that comes with a Shimano or a Bosch motor. Next, the Tektro hydraulic disc brakes. They felt strong enough for my style of riding, and since there's a throttle, I like that there's a motor cutoff. Plus, the shift sensor will help reduce the chance of any additional wear on the drivetrain. I liked the center-mounted LCD display, and the option for a rear rack and fenders could be a nice addition for some riders. Now, some things to keep in mind. The suspension isn't from the major well-known brands, but it feels good and is fully tunable. If you're a beginner or a casual rider, you'll likely be happy. Just be aware of the front fork's limits if you're doing big jumps or aggressive riding. And it's worth a call out on the XM. Yes, the bigger battery and the more motor power if you happen to need it, but also an upgrade to a RockShox rear suspension. And keep in mind, you can always swap parts as your skills grow. As with any electric mountain bike, this bike is heavier than a traditional mountain bike. On the upside, that weight can make you feel more planted and confident on the trail. On the downside, it's a bit tougher to maneuver on really technical sections. That's just a trade-off with an electric mountain bike. Also, the entire bike isn't UL 2849 certified, though the battery is UL 2271 certified. Really happy to see that. Here are a few upgrades I highly recommend to make this more of a true electric mountain bike in order of importance. First, mountain bike pedals for better grip, wider platform. The metal pedals leave a lot to be desired. Next, a dropper seat post to quickly adjust the saddle height for changing terrain. And finally, new grips, though that's more of a personal preference. You can probably tell where I'm going with this. If you want to see a long-term test and see how crazy I can go with upgrades on this electric bike, let me know in the comment section below if that's something you'd like to see. If you think the Velowave Forest SM is the right e-bike for you, or any of the other Velowave models, Do me one quick favor, use our link in the description before you make your purchase, or scan the QR code on your screen with your phone. It helps support the channel at no extra cost to you. So what do you think of the Velowave Forest SM full suspension electric mountain bike at $3,000? Are there any other electric mountain bikes around this price point that you'd recommend or that we should consider reviewing? Drop your thoughts down in the comment section. I read them all. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.